um, Dave Ingram, the legend that is Dave Ingram. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, mate. Cheers for having me.
Oh, it's well, I was going to say it's an absolute pleasure, but I don't know yet, do I? I mean,
Well, we'll find out. It's an adventure and a journey we'll take together.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it started out cordially enough, but who knows when it's going to go tumbling downhill.
This is beer number 2 for me today. So is
cheers.
It number 2 or maybe number 3?
Well, cheers. This is about pint of water number 9 in my Leeds United pint glass.
Don't drink too much water. Fish fucking it.
Well, I'm not going to drink too much water for other reasons, because otherwise I'll be going to the toilet every 10 minutes in this interview.
Oh, I'm 53. Give me 10 minutes and I'll be on my way. So
you've got it. Well, yeah, we're roughly around the same kind of vintage. So
okay,
that's it. We can compare like aching body parts.
Tell me about it. I've got this on my bloody arm.
Like. So it's kind of weird. Have our paths crossed over the years before?
It's possible. I was actually thinking the same thing today. Like, have we crossed paths because of, obviously the acid rain and Benediction back in the 90s? And I'm thinking we must have at some point, whether it's just at a gig that either you were playing in Brum or we were playing up round your way, which is the north of England, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I've lived in London for 20 odd years, but we back in the day we were based there, and funnily enough, Birmingham has always been I think it's a city that we've only played twice. We played Edwards number 8 years ago, supporting Rage.
Nice.
No, it wasn't. No, it was Goldwyn's.
Okay, Goldwyn's. Oh, yeah, that rings a bell. It's 25 years since I've lived in Birmingham. So
right, yeah. Well,
I'm in Copenhagen now. So
right, okay. Well, and it's 25 years since I've lived in Yorkshire. I'm in London. So so let's talk about places that we don't remember.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that was definitely 1989. And then before it would have been at the Moseley Centre in Moseley.
I know that one. Yeah, Moses. I used to go to raves there. Did I say that out loud? I said that out loud. Yes, I used to go to raves there back in the early 90s. Yeah.
But I know Frank Healy, but I think I know Frank from Sacrilege. So that's like, there's like a connection there. But other than that, we may have been in each other's orbits at some point.
I think we were. There was some point. There's no way we wouldn't have been.
Yes. Right? So. Yeah, absolutely. So look, how are things going? Because I know, from a recent interview that you did, I don't know how recent it was, but obviously I think we were both on the same episode of Paul Waller's brilliant A Year in Horror podcast.
That's right.
Yeah. And believe it or not, we have something bizarrely in common, which is on our most recent album, there is a song called Within the Woods, which is about the Evil Dead. Because Within the Woods is the short film that Sam Raimi made. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
you're possibly the only person that I've ever spoken to in an interview who would already know that.
Yeah.
I'm just so in the habit of having to volunteer that information.
Oh yeah, no doubt. But yes, big Evil Dead fan right here.
And I said to Paul when we were talking about the Evil Dead a couple of episodes ago, funnily enough, I said to him, "Do you know what? If push comes to shove, I'm probably putting on Evil Dead 2 as my movie of choice in the trilogy."
Yeah. I actually have a digital copy of it on my laptop, which I refuse to delete from it because I always want to go back to that one. But there's also, I do quite like the Army of Darkness as well.
So I love the Army of Darkness. I mean, it holds a place in my heart through going to the cinema with a bunch of mates, because it was like, wow, we are going to see an Evil Dead movie at the cinema on the day it comes out.
Oh wow, okay, cool.
And you're thinking like, I never thought I'd see this, having been a kid who got a borrowed like dodgy videotape to see the first one because it was a video nasty.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And
nasty,
then It's hilarious.
Yeah, there's a. I mean, other than the tree scene, yeah, it's
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. Before we both get cancelled.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. We are right there. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's. So what's your? I can't remember. Which. What's your Evil Dead song called? Isn't it on the most recent album?
It's the sort of the title track. The album's called Scriptures. But the song's called Scriptures in Scarlet, because obviously Books of Blood and not the Books of Blood, that's Clive Barker, but it was written in blood. The Necronomicon was written in blood, so
yeah, and
I just thought
human skin.
Yeah, that's right, yeah, and I thought Scriptures in Scarlet. What it's because it's I love the alliteration, Scriptures in Scarlet, and then it was Darren, the guitarist, said, "How about we just call the album Scriptures?" And it was also the first song of the new album that I wrote. It was the first one I chose just at random of all the music that they sent through. So yeah, it sort of stuck with me. It was the first one I wrote when I got back into the band. So
that's really cool.
And it had to be about Evil Dead. And the thing is, years ago, when Barney recorded the first album, Subconscious Terror, he did a song on there called Artifacted Irreligion, which I think was about Evil Dead as well. Right. So I sort of left it a while to do my thing. And obviously I was out of the band for 20 years or something. So I thought, okay, it's long enough now. I'll get it done.
Yeah, that is very cool. That is very cool. And I know all about not being in a band for 20 years, but of course you were busy in those intervening years. It's a kind of hodgepodge of a career. You've got so much going on, and you've done so much. That must be incredibly rewarding.
It can be both rewarding and a pain in the ass at times, simply because I just have this inability to say no, I'm too busy, sorry. And someone comes to me and says, "Hey, do you want to do this album?" Yes.
Yeah,
I want to do it.
The answer's always yes.
Yeah, exactly. And I really should learn to say I don't have the time. And the thing is, now with Benediction, I really don't have the time. Even some of the projects that I've got that they're on their third or fourth album or something. I've had to sort of say, can we wait a bit? I've got stuff that was done during the pandemic, during the lockdowns. And then there was new stuff that was just sort of thrown together really quickly. For example, the stuff done during the lockdown was the Hell, Frost and Fire. And then because of the lockdown, it was delayed. I still haven't had my vinyl copies of that through yet, so we're waiting on that. Obviously, it's not the fault of the label, not at all. It's because of COVID. There's also the one thing that got thrown together was a band called Formaldehydist, and we did this one album. It's called the album's called Pickled for Posterity, and most of the songs are about drinking beer or alcohol or booze, whatever. And it's the vocalist, it's myself and Mads Horlu, who's the guitarist in the Danish band Undergang. You can probably hear my dogs barking in the background. I apologize for that.
That's all right, man. That's all right. They're obviously big fans of that project.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. But yeah, and me and Mass, we've done a band before, a band called Desert Mouth, years ago, and yeah, we just found the tapes of that. It was in between Benediction and Bolt Thrower period when I'd left Benediction before I joined Bolt Thrower, and we did this one band. We did 4 songs, and we found the demo, the actual DAT tape, the DAT tape.
Oh, awesome!
So we've transferred it to digital, and I'm trying to get the guys to give permission to just release it online as digital. But I think I think one of them wants to sell it. It's like, nah, it's 20 years old. No one's going to buy that. Just sell it. Just give it away.
Yeah.
It's a bit of fun.
Yeah, but it's one of those, and it's stick it on YouTube and say, there you go, guys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm going to do, but I'll need to talk to them first. I want to make sure they get permission for it.
Yeah.
But But as I was saying, the Formaldehyde is this weird thing. And we were thinking about doing a second album, but Mass is really busy with Undergang. So he's not going to do it. So I've asked Cam Lee, and Cam said he's interested in it. So it'd be me and Cam
wow.
Lee. Now, originally, me and Cam were going to do this album with 3 vocalists: myself, Cam, and Carl Willits.
Right. Yeah, Carl. Yeah.
There was a project called Troikadon, but unfortunately, because obviously the pandemic stopped things from happening, and then once that ended, we all started getting busy again, and we just had to say, there's no way our schedules will align so that we can get this done. And it's not fair on people to keep saying it's coming soon, and then it's not. So we pulled it.
The thing is, it's also unfair on like a bunch of band members as well, isn't it? Because it's like you know, yes, there's people wanting to hear it, but there's also like people wanting to record it and release it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think the music was used. Some of the music that was written was used with another band, because it was Roger Johansson, and he's in about 85 million bands. So like he used the music for something else. And the thing is, there's a sort of like I call it cross-pollination with Roger. There was an album he wrote for another band. I'm not going to say who it was, but when he wrote it, he said himself it didn't feel correct for that band, and it went on to become the latest, which it's being released about now, the new Echelon album, Open Wide the Adamantine Gates.
Right.
So, which was, when he played it to me, he said, "Do you think this is Echelon?" And I was like, "That's exactly Echelon, and it's exactly not the band you had intended it to be."
Right. Okay. Yeah. It does, but it does happen sometimes, doesn't it? It's like, you set out to create something and go like, oh, actually, hang on a second. This isn't. But that is also, I think, is a great thing to keep, like, playing over in your mind, which is because I don't know about you, I can procrastinate a fair amount, and there's a lot to be said for just fucking get on with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Just get on with it, because it's like the old look, just leave the house, you'll end up somewhere cool. But if you don't leave the house and think about it, you definitely won't.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. You just got to get the ball rolling, and wherever it ends up is where it ends up. But I mean, lockdown has had huge effects on on all of us, and all of us listening, being in bands or not, everybody was affected.
It was,
but it's kind of, I don't know if you last I heard you guys hadn't played any shows. Is that still the case?
Oh, Benediction. Oh no, we've been playing shows. We've
Brilliant.
had let's see, it's been, how long has it been now? About 4 months or something.
Right.
I don't. By the way, I don't know if the audio is cocking up right now. It sounds weird. Oh, it's fine for you. Okay.
Yeah.
Because it just seems to be jumping over here. But anyway, Benediction. We about 4 months, I think. Maybe 3. It's because it's been there's been a weekend away, and then there was a time where there was like a week away, and this is actually the first weekend I've had at home for about a month.
Wow. Right. Okay.
And I do like my weekends at home, because I can sit and relax with a beer.
Yeah.
And with the family and everything. And then there's next week we got some shows at the weekend, and I think it's quite erratic at times, and there's no we have this schedule, but then we have to sort of worry about flights, and are they going to get cancelled? And we had the equipment lost by Lufthansa. Thanks very fucking much. But okay, eventually we got it back, but it was still a pain in the fucking arse.
Well, also the thing is, it's like, you tend to need your gear. It's kind of handy if someone doesn't lose it.
But I mean, luckily we got a couple of older guitars, and there were 2 gigs we did. We had no merch because that was lost as well, and no backdrop. So those were the last 2 gigs that we played, and we had old guitars that we were crossing our fingers the strings didn't break, because we didn't have a spare because we only had 2. So
I
it
mean,
was kind of a nightmare, but we got through it. We blundered on. So,
but
which is what we do anyway.
I know where you're coming from though with these kind of like sporadic shows and just the issues that you've talked about there. Just imagine if you're on like a 6-week trek.
Yeah,
you know, that's no fucking joke.
no, not at all.
Yeah,
no.
Because if you, like you say, your stuff goes missing, your gear goes missing for like 5 weeks or whatever. Well, like, yeah, that is a problem.
Yeah, I mean, we had it missing for like 2 weeks. And it was while we were waiting at the airport for the drummer to turn up at the last couple of shows. They got a phone call saying, "Oh, your guitars are here." It's like, well, no good. We're in, Slovenia. It's great that you found them and they're in London, but we're not there to get them.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's the way things are at the moment with a a full like 6-8 week tour, whatever. You're one bad tour away from being bankrupt, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And like not this
or band corrupt, if I may.
Yes. You may not actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
But no, I mean there was a couple of gigs prior the weekend before. We did like 3 shows in a row, and I got bronchitis, and that was on the Monday. It sort of kicked off. So during the week, I was like unable to breathe properly. I was coughing, and I was like, "There's no way I'm going to do these 3 shows."
Yeah.
And then it got to a point where I just had to go. We couldn't cancel them because, like you say, it would have been financially bad for us. So I went and did them. And I think after the first show, I must have shouted it out of me. The bronchitis moved. But since then, I've had the biggest goddamn head cold I've ever had in my life. I've still got it now. Like, my voice doesn't normally sound this crap. Yeah.
That's bizarre because it's. I mean, presumably it wasn't COVID at any point.
No, I tested everything. No, nothing.
Yeah. But that's the constant fear of.
Sorry, carry
good
on.
Lord, that looks like a nice beer.
It's Brooklyn, one of my favorite breweries. So.
That's one of the things about being a singer. I know some are absolutely fine with it. Me myself, it's always in the back of my mind that constantly don't want to be ill.
Yeah.
How does my throat feel? Because ultimately we can cancel a show,
Yeah.
Just us,
Yeah.
And that for me just puts that's a lot of weight to walk around with, and I do find myself totally overthinking how I'm feeling.
Yeah, I do that a lot as well. Is that a tickle in my throat? Is that blah blah? Yeah, I do that myself. But back when I was a little younger, okay, a lot younger, I'd sort of say, "Oh, I'll just kill it with beer." But even now, I'm noticing if I drink too much after a gig or something, it affects me the next day. So
it just dehydrates you and drives.
Yeah, and it never used to do that. It never used to do that. So, and even now, I can sort of drink 3 pints of water before I go to bed after a gig. Doesn't matter. It's still going to screw up my throat. So I have to be careful. So
but it's true. But again, it's like, it's a muscle. It's a muscle that you're constantly, you're having to work out, you're having to warm up, you're having to warm down, you're having to look after it. And it is one of the drawbacks of being the front man. Yes, it's great being a front man, being out the front, and great. That's why we do it. Got to be honest. Got to be honest. That's why we do it. But it's like everything. There's always a price to pay.
Yeah, there is. But to me, it sort of weighs out. You get the you have the recognition,
Yes,
because people will say to me like, "Oh, hi Dave, say hello to your guitarist." because they won't know his name, but they'll know mine.
Yes.
And I do feel sorry for the rest of the band, but I think, although with Benediction, we have, it was the bass player Dan. He put it so succinctly the one day, and just before we went on stage, we were chatting about what we're going to do and have a bit of a laugh, and he said, "Oh, the Benediction pantomime starts all over again," and honestly, it can be quite a bit of a pantomime because we do have fun when we're up on stage, and I would say that it sort of makes the band a bit larger than life. So people do remember the band names.
Yes.
And we're obviously making fun of Gio because he's Italian. I mean, nothing against Italians except Gio. So,
well, look, I've done, I've done over 20 years in stand-up comedy, and so
really,
yeah, that was basically
great. I love stand-up comedy.
Well,
so, have you got stuff on YouTube? Or?
Yeah. I mean, I do a character called Keith Platt, who's a professional Yorkshireman, and I've been doing that for over 15 years. But I did like 10 years straight stand up as me before that. I mean, that's pre-YouTube, for fuck's sake. How old am I? But yeah, so basically when the band split in 91, I just moved to London. That's why I moved to London to start doing stand up, and I'm still down here. And then the band came back in 2015 with just me. We tried to reform, but that didn't happen, and it ended up, I just thought, well, fuck it, let's get some new guys in and do it. But yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I think it's disarming. And it's very hard for people not to get some kind of enjoyment out of your performance if you're clearly enjoying yourselves.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It takes a special kind of cunt to stand there, to stand there stony faced in front of a people who are all having fun, and so's everybody around them. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
yes.
It's you just got to win. You got to win people over slowly but surely, and I love that feeling. I really, really do. But yeah, I mean, it's being out front and kind of being that. In fact, our old guitarist put it really well. He's like, nah, I've played guitar and sung before, and never doing that again. And I was like, why is that? And he put it rather succinctly, as you were saying earlier. He put it rather succinctly. He said, because if this plane goes down, I'm the fucking pilot.
Right. Okay.
He said, like, no, you go sit up front in the cockpit.
Okay.
And like, you hit the ground first.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, yeah, I get that. I get that, but it's just one of those things. I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way, but it's so different to stand up. Yeah. It's so different.
Yeah.
And as I was asked quite recently, what would you say is the major difference? And the major difference is that as a stand-up, you get appreciation. Being in a band, it's adulation.
Yeah, that's well said. I like that. I like that.
Because everybody's been funny at some point. So just because you're funny for like an hour or whatever, it's like, well, yeah, but we've all told a joke now and been a laugh. Everyone's told a story, held the corner of a room, in the palm of the hand, whatever, at some point. So it's a recognizable skill. And then that same person goes to a gig and goes, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Because as a singer, as a comedian, you just make people laugh. And I'm not putting that down. I'm not saying that's not a thing, but that is all you do. Yeah. But in a band, you can trigger memories from childhood. You can bring back emotions people had forgotten. That's powerful stuff. I mean, I'm not a religious person, but if I was, I would say, you touch people's souls. You emotionally engage with them. Whereas stand-up, it's just like, yeah, I had a laugh. And, well, proof of the pudding is anyone who says, oh, yeah, I was at a comedy club the other night. Yeah, it was really great. Oh, who was on? I don't know.
Mm.
You know, I mean, like no one goes to a band, no one buys, you know, no one goes to a gig and goes, yeah, I'll buy a ticket on the door. Who's playing? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's just totally different,
yeah, yeah.
But I tangent, complete tangent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in London. That's why I came to London.
Yeah.
Denmark, was it love? Was it work? What was the move about?
It was love.
Yeah.
95, Benediction were on tour with the band Death.
Wow, let's just take a pause for a second there. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what's more amazing. Death were actually fucking on tour.
Yeah.
You know, or you know, yeah, you bumped into your future partner.
Yeah. Well, we were out with them, and
Gene was, hang on, it's coming back to me now, because
Gene Hoglund was drumming at the time.
And I'm like big friends with Gene from touring with him back in the day. And
Yeah.
I remember saying, him telling me on an episode back that his relationship with Chuck was brilliant.
Yeah.
Until it wasn't. And the last 3 weeks of being in the band were an absolute pain. And all he did was spend his time on Benediction's tour bus smoking dope with Benediction.
Yeah. It wasn't me, Mum, honestly. My mum passed away like 10 years ago. But anyway, but no, you're absolutely correct there. It was, he did spend a lot of time on our tour bus. But my experience with Chuck was that he was one of the nicest guys. He was very mellow, very chilled, very relaxed.
Yeah, I hear this.
I mean, everyone has their, downsides, but I never saw it with him personally.
Yeah.
So, but I wasn't in the band with him, so.
Oh, when we all know, yeah. It's like you look at someone's relationship and it looks great, you know, and you don't realize what goes on behind closed doors.
Yeah, exactly. But no, we came here to Copenhagen, and we played this show in a place called Pumperhuse here in Copenhagen, and
played it, I think.
Yeah, it's a great venue. And then it was my future wife was there, and we got to know each other and said hello, and we stayed in touch afterwards. Yeah. And I eventually, we were in a relationship, a long distance thing, and we said, well, one of us is going to move. So who's it going to be? And I said, yeah, it'll be me. And I moved over, and it's the best thing I've ever done was move to Denmark.
Yeah.
Especially right now with what's going on in England. Sorry, England, but you're all fucked.
Well, do you know what? The thing is, that story you've just told, to people hearing that now is like, yeah, cool. I know some people who've done it. Oh, yeah. But the perspective of the fact that that's 25 years ago, I think gets lost, because now it's not as big a deal as it would have been 25 years ago, because we have these incredible ways of, all this communication and everything else. But 25 years ago, being in a band, you were in the same town, you had to be in the same fucking room as your band if anything was going to happen.
Yeah. It didn't make life difficult, at least today. It doesn't make life difficult because obviously the internet.
Yes.
I remember when I came over here to Copenhagen to visit, and Benediction were writing the album Grind Bastard. And the one day I'd given them the address of where I was, which was actually this apartment. And one day a cassette tape came through the door, and it was all the new songs, rehearsal recording.
Wow.
And I had to sort of listen to it and then sit like my wife. Well, she was going to be my wife. She was my girlfriend at the time. She was going out to work. So in the daytime, I was sort of sitting writing lyrics and listening to this cassette. And it was bloody awful. It was recorded in a rehearsal room. You know how bad those things were.
Yeah. Because the worst thing about those is whatever any ideas you've got, if you try and sing along, it doesn't matter how loud it is, you can't get the fucking rhythm.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it was like there was about 5 or 6 tracks that they sent through, which I wrote while I was here. And then as soon as I got back, I was singing those. And yeah, it worked. We got it done. But obviously this day and age, it's the internet.
Yeah.
And I've always said this to bands: the internet is a perfect tool for communicating and for promotion. For example, the guy that I do a lot of bands with, Roger Johansson, I think I've done, let me just count, if I can count in my head, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've done about 10 albums with him.
Wow. Right.
10 albums with him. I've never met him. We have never been in the same room.
That's amazing.
It's all done online.
Never
met him.
Now,
never ever once. And that's it's like almost 10 years I've been working with him.
Now the weird thing is, if you're me, right? To me, that's the way I would do that is like, right now, but I never want to meet him. Do you know? We can't break the the run.
The fourth wall or whatever it is.
Yeah. It's like I've reached the age of 52 and I've never been to an Ikea, right? And I'm like, do you know what? It's never fucking happening. I'm never breaking that run.
Okay.
You know?
I have. I mean, I live in Denmark, so we get them.
Oh, you've got no choice. It's like McDonald's,
exactly. Isn't it? Yeah. You like, trip over a paving slab on the street and suddenly you're inside Ikea. Like, what?
You have no choice.
Yeah, no choice in it. No.
Yeah.
But but I understand when you say, like, after so long not meeting him. Well, I'd like to.
Yes.
I really would like to, because we need to have a proper photo shoot rather than Photoshop crap. Yeah, we need a proper photo shoot together.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, unless it was previously it was out there already. There's people listening to this going, "What? You mean those pictures that I've been looking at?" He's not even bloody there.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. But it is the perfect tool. I mean, especially, our band is, not as spread apart as you, but I've got, guitarist in Wales, bass player in London, drummer in Newcastle, singer in London. We had a guitarist in Exeter. So you're just stretched all over.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have a band meeting, it's gonna be on Zoom, isn't it? It's gonna be on the internet.
Yeah. Well, we Benediction, we have like a WhatsApp thread for all of us, and we just drop things in, and
same here.
Occasional insults, and we found a meme that's funny because it makes fun of Italians, stuff like that.
Happy birthdays as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it works, and I've like I say, the internet and the connection for it's worldwide, and I love that. I mean, I also remember having to write to people and sending letters and waiting a week before you get a reply. Yeah. And now it's instantaneous.
Yeah.
And to me, it's still amazing. It still amazes me that we can do all this. And there are those pesky kids out there who can't believe that we did all that, and or that we tape traded, or that there was I don't know, this long delay, that there was no direct connection.
Well, I find it amazing that the one thing that always amazes kids, if they're if we get talking about pre-internet years and all the rest of it, is the fact that we used to arrange a time and day to meet someone somewhere, and then just turn up.
Yeah.
And not message each other 50 times, like, the few hours beforehand or anything. No. We just made an arrangement and stuck to it. But what if something happened and you couldn't make it? It's like, well, no, you made it. You went. That's it.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're plans. That's and that was the concept of plans back then, as opposed to changing plans every 15 minutes.
Yes, that's a real what's the word? Pet hate of mine, when plans get changed last minute.
Yeah. Well, and the other one is, and I've said this on the podcast before, so I apologize to regular listeners, but a friend of mine who's one of his friend's children, who's quite young. And the great thing is like he's in his mid-30s, so he's young to me and you. But one of his mates' kids asked him if Facebook was in black and white when he was a child.
Nice.
Which I just think is just a brilliant child question.
Yeah.
You know, just conflating the two sort of, you know, black and white being old and okay. But
I had a black and white TV when I was a kid. We had a black and white TV at home.
I don't remember having a black and white TV, but I think we did. I remember the first thing we got with a remote control and thinking it was awesome. And of course, you look back now and it wasn't a remote control because it was on a fucking cable.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And people would trip over it all the time and, you know, drag the video recorder across the floor.
Yeah. But there was also the earlier remote controls that made a really loud clack sound. Yeah. And if you actually just clapped your hands, you could jump channels. If you clapped your hands loud enough, it would jump channels. So I remember that as well. Yeah. For me, it was like a black and white TV, and we watched. I remember watching Doctor Who because I'm a huge Doctor Who fan. I mean, fucking obviously, and we were watching Doctor Who. It was John Pertwee, and that was in colour. It was one of the first TV shows in colour on BBC.
Wow.
And I kept saying to my mum and dad, we need a colour TV. And they went and bought one. And I remember I can vividly remember watching the very first episode in colour and just being absolutely floored by watching it. Right? It was amazing. One of those, you know, crystallization moments that will always stick with you. And that was one for me.
Well, especially when it's something that you love and you've seen it in black and white, you know, and then all of a sudden seeing it in color is just like, that's like this thing I love just got amazingly even more amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, and for anybody who's just listening, just jumped into the podcast at this point, this is Dave Ingram and Howard Smith talking about electronics from the 1970s. If you thought it was going to be anyway about music or bands, no, we're
and if you have just got here, you're late. Have you brought a note?
To be fair, we were both fucking late.
Yeah, well, we were both late.
Yeah,
I didn't have a note, but I had a beer. So
yeah. So look, when did you know, for those that don't know, you do an online radio show.
Yes, it's called Metal Breakfast Radio. What happened with it right now? Because of being busy with Benediction, I've put it on hiatus for the time being.
Right.
It used to have a web hotel with every episode uploaded to it that people could get, and there was a website that people could go and use the links and blah blah. Right now, there's only a select amount of episodes available on a website called radiofreesatan.com. That's the only place that has it right now. It's a sort of a podcast website for and a sort of a channel, so to speak, which is for Satanists, run by Satanists, members of the Church of Satan, which I am one of. I'm a priest in the Church of Satan, that right now that's the only place you can find episodes of our show. I've put it on hold for the time being because so busy with Benediction, and in fact, I think not next week, but the week after, one of the co-hosts of the show is coming round. We're going to come round here. My wife's away in London with my son. I've got the co-host coming around. We're just going to sit and have a few drinks and chat about what's going to happen with the future of the show. I think we're going to sort of kick it off again about the new year, so 23. So we'll see how it goes.
Look, that all sounds great, but something in there that I've got to pick up on and pick a little bit further is priest in the church, a priest in the satanic church. That is
in the Church of Satan. Yeah.
So what does that entail? What kind of beliefs does it espouse?
Well, none. Basically, it's an atheistic religion. Usually, I would say to people, if you got any questions about the Church of Satan and the religion of Satanism, visit churchofsatan.com and go to the FAQ, the frequently asked questions. And believe me, every question you've got is right. It's been answered because we get it a lot.
Right. Okay. So thank you for diverting that section of the interview.
Well, it's not so much that. It's just I always say that.
Yes.
But what does it entail to be a priest in the Church of Satan? Well, it doesn't entail anything. It's a title. It's to sort of there are different levels, different titles, and you get given them over time for your real world accomplishments and what you've done, and like obviously music, bands, and it also is to sort of your understanding of the satanic philosophy and what it means to you, and how you apply it to your everyday life.
Right.
So, and usually that's about as much as I give, because when I start to talk about it, people will then write to me and say, "So tell me more." It's like, no, learn about it yourself. Because that's the one key thing of this philosophy is study, not worship. So basically what that means is for all the people asking about it, look it up yourself. Go to the source, churchofsatan.com.
Yeah. No, I understand that, because if as you've already said, it's very much about it's a very much by the sound of it, very much about a real world religion, if you even want to call it a religion. But by the same so if somebody questions you, they're going to get what it means to you in your version of it.
No.
And what they need to do is go and
what they
go
need
to the source.
They're not going to get my version of it, because there's only one version of it, which is Satanism, codified in 1966 by Anton LaVey. But if they have their version of it, which may be incorrect, then they should go to churchofsatan.com. Read the questions. There's so much literature there that they can read, and it's available for free online, so that the people don't get confused. And because I mean, obviously we do get asked, why call it Satanism? And well, why not? It obviously keeps the riffraff away. To be quite honest, it really does. So that's one thing. But and Satanism, it's why Satan? It's because Satan is the accuser, the opponent, the adversary, and we are opponents to spiritual religion because it does not do good for people. It sort of denies all the fun in life. So,
So, it's crowd control.
Yeah, bingo, crowd control, like that. That's a nice way of saying it. I like that. I should remember that one. Thank you, mate.
No, my pleasure, mate. My pleasure. That's absolutely fascinating. It really is. I mean, I'm an atheist myself, to the extent that I have atheist tattoos, which always come in useful should somebody try and knock on my door and sell me a Bible. Instantly whip one of the tattoos out. Oh, that's interesting. What's that? It's an atheist tattoo. Oh, really? Is it? Do you have any tattoos? No. I tell you what, come back when you're as committed to your beliefs as I am to mine.
Nice. I like that.
Well, do you know what? I think part of me was the entire reason I got it done. Because I get people knocking on the door a lot, which again is not something that happens with Satanists.
No, that's it. We do not proselytize. We do not go out and force our religion down people's throats. If anyone wants to sort of see that type of thing, follow Church of Satan on Twitter, because they have a very good Twitter account.
I bet
the people behind it, they know their stuff, and it's quite entertaining.
Yeah, I can imagine. I really can.
Quite entertaining. Can I ask, is it okay if we hold a 2-minute break?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I've a lot of that, and
no worries.
I need to make some room for it. If you get my gist,
get your absolute gist. Yeah. So I want to go right back to Dave Ingram, teenager, hears Who for the first time and goes, right, I need to get involved. There's something in me that I'm not just a fan of this music. I've got to get inside it and make my own.
Wow. Okay. I can go back even further, actually, just to.
Oh, good. No, do
set a preference there. Precedence, actually, not preference, but whatever. I've been drinking.
Yeah.
Forget it.
Yeah. President, whatever.
Yeah. But I was 7 years old.
Right. Okay.
And I heard my sister played for me Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, the album.
Right.
It was pretty. I think it was just out. And as soon as that riff kicked in, and that was it. It was one of those, that scene in The Simpsons where Homer hears something and it's sort of like all ding, 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 all this weird sort of acid trip around him.
Yeah.
Well, it was that for me. It was that crystalline moment, and I knew that this heavy music was going to be part of my life. So that was it. And I think it was again later on with Sabbath. Their later albums, still with Ozzy, and then also with Dio as well, and obviously with Gillan, because the Born Again album with Ian Gillan on vocals is my second favorite Black Sabbath album. So
yeah, and to use a modern parlance, a lot of people are sleeping on that album.
Yes, they will be sleeping on it, but I'm sure that they'll re-release it. And I think since Dio's passed, Ozzy doesn't want to do Sabbath anymore. It might be a good idea for. If Iommi and Butler want to go out there and do Born Again, that would be great. Let's go out there and play that, because they could also add a shout. They could do a few Purple numbers as well, because I remember they played at Reading Festival, and they did Smoke on the Water, like as one of the songs. It's like available. It was released online. It's amazing. Black Sabbath playing Smoke on the Water, like that riff played by Tony Iommi.
Yeah.
Like it tears a hole in the space-time continuum.
Yeah, so there's a hole in the sky. Yeah.
Boom. There you go.
Yeah.
But and it was around about sort of Born Again time, and there was also a little before that was Peace of Mind by Iron Maiden. And Power Slave as well, and I was like, I need to be doing this and not just sort of listening to it. I remember I went
Power
to
Slave for me as well, and Power Slave for me, and Life After Death as well, because that was the first time I'd seen a big live show, and you just think, fucking hell, how much fun are they having?
Exactly. And it was 1980, was it 82 or 83? I can't remember. I saw Rainbow. It was my first metal gig, because I'd seen other bands before, like Steel Eye Span and whatever, when I was very young. We won't talk about that, even though I just did. But I saw Rainbow supported by Lita Ford, and I was there with my stepbrother, and he was in the army at the time. And we got to the gig quite late. We'd been to a beer festival before, typical. And we got to the gig late, so he pulls out his army pass. And he says, like, grab hold of me back, and he just pushes his way through the crowd going, excuse me.
Brilliant.
People move out of the way, and we were right at the front. Honestly, how we did not get stabbed, I do not know.
That's awesome.
But when we got down the front, and he turned to me and he said, it was when Lita Ford came out, and the bass player, he pointed to the bass player and he says, like, that could be you in years time, because at the time I was trying to learn the bass, play the bass guitar, and when we played at Copenhagen, and we played a bunch of shows recently, and I sent photos to him. I texted him and I said, like, you were right, I did manage to do all this.
It's brilliant.
It's like a nice circle to get through. But that's what it was. It was around then. So you were right about being a teenager, wanting to get up on stage and strut my funky stuff and be a hooer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm look, we're ashamed egotists, unashamed egotists, unapologetic egotists. I mean, Christ, I do stand up as well. It's like, no, I don't even want a band around me. I need all the attention. But talking about paying a price earlier, that is also a price you pay, because when you come off stage, and you're buzzing your tits off, no one wants to fucking hear it. No one.
No.
Because it's a bunch of other comedians who've already played. They're in there talking about, like, going on holiday or whatever, and you come off stage going, "Wah!" And they're like, yeah. Anyway, and there's no one to bounce off. There's no one to, to talk to in the dressing room. Oh, what in that bit? And no, none of that.
Yeah.
So there's always a price to pay.
Yeah.
But I identify with what you were saying as well about that, the music, about that kind of like that sort of acid trip effect, where it's just like, I love this music so much. I want to climb inside it and walk around. I want to, I want it to be part of me. I want to be part of it. And just listening's not enough.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I think that's what a lot of people who love bands forget, that all of us in bands, we're just fans. We're just super fans. That's where we are.
Yeah. We've been there, and we've had all the joy from what the bands have given us in the past. And for me, I've just wanted to get out there and do exactly the same thing.
Yes.
Right. Because I mean, I was listening to, like I just said, trying to learn the bass guitar, and I was trying to emulate Steve Harris from Iron Maiden, and please don't laugh, but Joey DeMeo from Manowar. But I refuse to wear leather chaps.
I'm going to try not to laugh, but
right. No leather chaps.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah. But it's just that honestly, because I had a few Rickenbacker bass guitars. I love them, obviously, as well with Lemmy, God. But
yeah. Well,
so I was totally into that Rickenbacker sound, and what Joey DeMeo did was amazing. I thought, like, he could play it like it was a guitar, and I wanted to try and emulate that. And I was awful. I was fucking terrible. So I became a singer. So.
Well, do you know what? Yet again, our stories are quite similar. Yes, I did try and learn the bass. I did have bass lessons. I then tried to do bass and vocals, and realized that that's probably a bad idea if you can't pay bass in the first place. To then try and do vocals as well. But by that point, I just wanted to be Tom Araya, as a 4 foot, about a 4'9", 16-year-old white kid. That was probably a stupid idea, but so the bass, singing, that'll do.
Yeah, because the band I was in prior to Benediction, as the bass player, and I did sort of some backing vocals, and people would say to me, "Your backing vocals are actually better than the singers." And I was like, "Oh, all right, well, don't tell him that." But then he went away. He went away for like a year. He traveled around Europe, and during that time, we had a few gigs, and I took over doing bass and singing, and I found I could do one pretty good and the other very good, but I couldn't do them together.
Right.
There was no way. I was no good at multitasking. So.
Yeah. And it's kind of, I mean, I literally, the whole bass guitar, I was already in the band at that point. But for me, it was like, well, I can't play any instruments. I mean, years later, I would find out that I had ADHD, which of course, I couldn't apply myself to learning an instrument, basically.
Right.
And to this day, I can't apply myself to anything that I don't have a natural kind of gift or leaning towards. Right. If I do something for the first time and it was like, oh yeah, I I've got a knack for this. I'll work at it. If I try something and it's like, oh no, fuck this, I'm never doing this again. Because I just can't. But anyway, back then it was kind of a case of like, I'm not going to play an instrument. So okay, so it's vocals. Well, I was in the school choir. I mean, I can't be that bad. I'll give it a whirl. And that's how it all started. And funnily enough, one of our first ever songs that we ever did was a cover version of Hungry for Heaven by Dio.
Okay.
He was a hero for me. Obviously, short guy.
Yeah.
But he just had this like this humongous voice.
Yeah, he did. He did.
You know, that to this day, there are some live Sabbath recordings that you listen to it and you think these are studio quality vocals.
Mm.
You know, how the hell
Absolutely.
was he doing that every night?
Mm.
You know, and I saw an interview with him and someone said it was another singer and he was like idolized Ronnie a bit, and he got a chance to have a chat with him, and he said, you know, so what's your warm-up routine? You know, I do about 45 minutes, you know, breathing this, that. What's your warm-up routine, Ronnie? And he was like, I smoke a joint. And he was like, and that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Oh,
Brilliant. Yeah, that's how to warm up, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't do it myself.
No. But so how did you start coming across kind of like-minded individuals to kind of, you know, put a band together?
What with you mean with Benediction?
Well,
when I first joined.
Well, with your first musical.
Yeah, just it was a bunch of friends that we were hanging out together at this, like, I was on a YTS scheme. Okay.
Hey, yes.
Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah, awesome.
Anyone who's under 40 probably doesn't even know what we're talking about.
Government-sponsored slave labor.
Yep. But it was this YTS scheme. It was in Aston, Birmingham, not far from the HP sauce factory and the old Ansell's factory, which was made for some great smells, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
But it was there, and there was people there that were into metal as well. And we just said, oh, let's just hang out with instruments. And it started out with me and on bass, a guitarist and a singer and a drum machine. And the drum machine was like, and that was basically the beat. And you could speed it up or slow it down, and that was it.
You're like a real drummer.
Yeah, well, pretty much, yeah. Especially Italian ones. Anyway, sorry, Gio. But we did that for I don't know, about a year, just, you know, having fun.
Yeah.
And then we actually got a drummer who came in, and he was pretty good.
Right.
For what we were doing.
You were having fun with the drum machine.
Yeah, we thought, and then suddenly, like, wow, we had a great time. And then the singer left, and we did one rehearsal with me doing the vocals again and playing bass and doing it both very badly. And then me and the guitarist noticed this advert for a band who need a guitarist and a bass player, and we sort of looked at each other and we're like, we won't tell the drummer. And so we joined this band, and yeah, we became great friends with these two guys. I'm still friends with one of them. One of them just dropped off the map completely. I think he became an alcoholic, and he just dropped off the radar completely. But yeah, we did that, and that was sort of the first live experiences with that. In fact, the very first live show we ever played was a festival in Birmingham, which was headlined by, I think, Bolt Thrower. And I think after Bolt Thrower, it was Bolt Thrower, Carcass, Doctor and the Crippins, Cerebral Fix, Doom, Deviated Instinct. It was one of those massive bunch of Birmingham bands.
Yeah.
And we opened, and we played for like 25 minutes. And it was our first show, and it was the first time I ever played live anywhere. And this quite a big crowd. And they appreciated it. And we were actually reviewed in Kerrang, and they said we sounded like an outboard motor on a sort of a little a boat, one of those things, and that we did really well. And I was like, holy shit, Kerrang liked us.
That's amazing.
I thought we were rubbish. Yeah.
But that's amazing, because at that age, did you get a name dropping Kerrang for the first gig you've ever done?
Yeah, I think we were like 17 or 18. I was about that old at the time. Yeah.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. And also to be on that bill with all, you know, with all those bands.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then end up in one of them years later.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's
I mean, that's something I'll take with me forever. Being a member of Bolt Thrower for like 6 years almost.
Yeah.
And people forget, because people say to me, like, you weren't in the band very long, you only did one album. So, well, I joined right after they released Mercenary.
So you toured that album.
So I toured with that album, and then we stopped, and we were writing for Honor Valor Pride, and then we toured for that one as well. And then I got ill and had to leave. And it was 6 years, almost 6 years, that I was in Bolt Thrower, that I was a member.
But that's you know, you illustrate there something that's this kind of, it's unique to bands, because I think there's, when you're a fan, because you know we're fans of bands. When you're a fan of a band, there is an era that, you know, that you prefer. There's albums that are great, and you know, and people will come up to you and talk about that. It's like, oh, you know, do you ever think about, you know, maybe doing something like that again, or stuff like that? And it's like, what you don't realize is that when you're in a band, you don't have the luxury of doing that. You've constantly got to be moving forward.
Yeah. You know, you do have to evolve. You can say we're going back to our roots, but you can't go back to your roots and make the same album. You have to do a different album. You have to use the more modern technology to make a different sound.
Yes. Yes.
So I totally understand what you're saying. I agree.
Yeah. And to me, I think, you know, ultimately the way everything's moved now, no, we're not going to go in the studio and just use amps like we used to, and you know, and record the drums without a click track and not use Pro Tools. And you know why? Because it will sound shit. That's
exactly.
And you think you want that, but all of your other albums aren't made like that, and that's what your ears are used to.
Yeah, exactly.
And if we put something out like you're talking about, you will say, oh, sounds a bit shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Exactly.
You've got to go with a go. And I you know, I think I remember, I think it was Gene. I was talking to Gene once, and he said, he was just like, and I apologize this, but I always have to do the Gene voice. And he was like, dude, if the technology's out there, why wouldn't you use it? I mean, it's there to make you sound better. So use it, you know. Unfortunately, I've been doing my Gene impression so many years now. It's basically Kermit the Frog.
Right. Well, I'm not sure if I'm going to be running into Gene at any point in the near future. But if I do, I'll once this goes out, I'll manage, because will this be on YouTube?
It will, yes.
Excellent.
Will, yeah.
Then I'll use my my little app that I've got and download it and take that segment as audio and play it to Gene. I'll keep it on my phone especially. Yeah,
please do.
Gene's a good lad. He's a really good lad.
I mean, one of the nicest people I've met in music, if not the nicest. I mean, I can go from not seeing him for like, you know, 3-4 years. I remember seeing him when he was touring with Testament, and they were supporting him on a math, and he, you know, it's like when you know what it's like with some people, where it's like, can you put me on the guest list? Yeah, no problem. You know, and they put you on the guest list, and you get there, and you know, you've got free entry, your name's on the list, and that's it.
Yeah,
and that's fine. That's fine. But Gene's one of those people who's like, can you get me on the guest? Yeah, no problem. And then you get photographs of your AAA pass.
Okay.
You get a photograph of your name on the list.
All right.
You know,
Excellent.
and you know, and so we come down. You know, I haven't seen him for years, and we come down. We sit in the dressing room. We sit down, and I look at him, and I'm like, wow. So you guys voted for Trump? And he looks at me, and he goes, yeah. You guys voted for Brexit, right? And that's it. We're off. You know, we're off. And he's one of those people. It doesn't have to be music. You can talk about anything with Gene. Yeah. You know, he's such a lovely dude. He really is.
He really is. He is.
Yeah, he is. He is. This is officially the Gene Hoglund fan club here.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Yeah. So look, what are your kind of plans around, the rest of scriptures? Because presumably you want to get as much of that out as possible, given it came out, in 2020.
Well, there's a bunch, but the first thing I have to do is go for another piss.
Do that.
All right. Be right back.
So for listeners as opposed to viewers,
Yeah.
you can always nip onto YouTube and watch this. Dave has brought the lovely Bella onto camera. So
and she doesn't want to stay actually, so she's off.
Oh, yeah. Right, that's that.
She's not long been fed, and she's got her food just down on the floor over there.
So just to clarify for listeners, Bella's a dog, not
yeah.
not a family, not a daughter or a wife.
No. Well, she's a sort of a daughter. She's a fur daughter. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Third or fur?
Well, isn't it the same thing?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
But anyway, you asked just before the quick break about what's coming up next with Benediction after scriptures.
Yeah.
Post scriptures. I'm trying to open a beer with one hand. Oh, and I've done it. What we're going to do is we're going to tour more. Obviously, and but I say tour. It's going to be a lot of festivals, a lot of gigs. Occasionally, there'll be the one-off club show that we'll drop in there.
Yeah.
Because maybe we've got a festival, for example, a festival on a Friday, and then a festival on a Sunday, and we got nothing to do on the Saturday. So rather than fly home and then fly back again, we'll just
sit in a hotel burning cash, paying a load of people who aren't doing anything that night as well.
Yeah, like ourselves. Then we'll put on a club gig. But right now we're actually writing new material.
Right.
So I'm pouring a beer while I'm talking right now, so I'm concentrating on that as well.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I get it. Yeah.
All done. But yeah, we did that. We've got about, I think it's 3 songs already for a new album. It's going to be, we were hoping to record this year around sort of November, December, but I don't think we're going to be ready.
Right.
And also, I don't want to rush doing this. I really don't want to rush recording a new album.
Yeah.
And I think these 3 songs, they're 99% ready. What I've got to do is there's certain things that have to be moved around, and I've got to do that on my other laptop, which is just over there. Right. I have a set laptop for doing music on. It doesn't go online because I'm paranoid about it getting hacked.
Great idea.
All my recording's done on that.
So it is what IT people refer to as an air-gapped computer.
Air-gapped? I've never heard of that phrase before. Okay.
Well, I might have it wrong, because air-gapped might be a computer that has never been connected to the internet. Okay,
well, this one, saying that, it was sent through by a friend of mine who's the boss of radiofreesatan.com, by the way. He sent it through, and when he sent it through, I actually copied this laptop that I'm using right now onto it, and since then it has never been online. So maybe
it's kind of in there somewhere, isn't it?
Yeah. So all the data that was on it before is gone. It's never actually been online, and I won't put it online. I should be saving that just for.
Yeah.
It's an older Mac. I mean, the one I use Mac, and the one I've got right now is one of the 17-inch screens, 17 inches across. It's one of the massive things. It looks like an aircraft carrier. But it's the one I've got right now is about 15 years old, and it's the slowest machine fucking ever. But next time I buy a computer, I won't be buying brand new. I'm really into the whole environmental thing, so I'm gonna buy an old one that's been, what's the word, refurbished? No, that means it's been redecorated or something.
No, you're right. Absolutely refurbished. Yeah.
Like I'll buy one of the older ones again for a fraction of the cost, because I always use Mac. I won't use anything else, and Mac's just ridiculously expensive when you buy brand new.
Oh God,
yeah.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's why they call people who work in an Apple shop genius. It's like, well, you must be if you figured out how to sell this expensive shit to everyone.
Boom. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So if you've got your music laptop, that's you've got your music laptop, that's safe. But do you want to gamble? So you've got that, and that's where you work all your music on. So you've already started writing the next album then.
Yeah, I got sent through. I've got about 30 pieces of music that I can use that the band are happy with. But I've said to them, rather than me pick and choose, because they might say, "Oh, can we try this one instead?" I've said to them, go through them all and choose the ones that you would like to use,
Right?
Because it's going to expedite the whole writing process for me. And I can still write lyrics, because I just make pages and pages of notes for lyrics, and then I just go through it and go, what the hell was I talking about or thinking about when I wrote that? So
are you a word collector?
Yes.
And a phrase collector?
Phrase collectors, yes. I will listen to other, not other songs, but I listen to a lot of audiobooks and podcasts.
Same here,
yeah. Mainly audiobooks and mainly Doctor Who audio adventures. And occasionally there'll be this words of wisdom that will come through.
Yeah.
And I will use that not as part of the lyrics, but I might use it as a song title. And actually, if you look at my band Down Among the Dead Men, every song title is it's something to do with Doctor Who. Even the band name, Down Among the Dead Men, there's a character called Bernice Summerfield. She's an archaeologist of the future. And because she's an archaeologist, she wrote a book called Down Among the Dead Men, which is what archaeologists are.
Where she spends all of her time.
Yeah. And that's where the band name came from. And all the song titles are about Doctor Who related stuff. Some are actually direct. Like there's one song called Pyramids of Mars, which was a Doctor Who story with Tom Baker.
Right.
The stuff like that. And there was one song, good grief, I forgotten what it's called. But it's actually the music is, I wrote it for Roger to use, but it's the bass line from the Doctor Who theme.
Oh, brilliant.
And I sort of punked it up, and
well, you're not the first person. You're not the first person to do that either,
no.
are you?
No, not at all. There's been stuff, but we've got the entire band, all the 3 albums and the singles that we put out. They're all about Doctor Who stuff. It's my vent. It's my vent for that. And there's a couple of songs that on the new Benediction album that have references in there with Doctor Who. I mean, progenitors of the new paradigm. That's all about the what people sometimes call the Teletubby Daleks. If the new paradigm of Daleks that came out in 2010, I think it was. But
I mean, I'd have to defer to our bass player Pete, who also has a fair volume of Doctor Who tattoos on him as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's got the Dalek and the telephone box and the whole telephone box, the TARDIS, etc. I'll honestly, you two could swap Doctor Who and tattoo stories till the end of time.
And by the sound of it, we could probably swap spit as well.
Oh, brilliant.
Don't tell him I said, oh, actually, you were recording shit.
Yeah. He's just seen this. Well, look, Dave, I can't thank you enough for doing this, and you've taken a chunk of time out of your day, and I really, really do appreciate it, because we've gone all around the houses here about all sorts of stuff. And look, thank you so much, but don't go anywhere, because there's a couple of things I want to talk to you offline.
Okay.
But for now, Dave, I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure. And
good.
I honestly, I really hope we can do this again.
Yeah. Well, bear with me.
Right on.